All right, you're in the Peacock corner. We're Sports Guys Iowa. Coffee's on. Let's go. JR, producer John Gunderson, having completed his pre-show meditation moments ago. Here he is, the Alpha Peacock, Mike Schrock. Good morning to you, Mike.
Good morning there, Warren. I want to just tell you, to quote one of the great philosophers in American history, Mr. Joe Walsh, life's been good so far, right? The only problem is I don't have a Maserati that does 185, right? So I don't know, maybe that ages me, but I tell you, what a great day, because we are only hours at this point away from kickoff at Harms Eichscheid Stadium. That's what we're here to talk about today. I'm excited. Let's get into it.
It is football season. It's straight ahead. I've got good news and bad news for everybody. The good news is the Upper Iowa Peacocks are no longer the preferred homecoming opponent for members of the Great Lakes Valley Conference. The bad news is they went 9-3 last year, so they're not sneaking up on anybody this year. They're picked to finish third in the Great Lakes Valley Conference behind Indy and Truman. They received votes in the national D2 rankings for the first time ever. And all this with only 5 starters back from 2025. First team, all GLVC guys, Shaq Roman, Monte Moro, Tate Parsons, Eddie Burgess, Clay Seahas, all gone. 56 newcomers in total, 56, including 39 freshmen. And Mike, don't worry, we will learn the names together.
Yeah, that's a lot of names to learn in a real quick time. And to be honest with you, Warren, Coach Hoskins has built this program over the last 3 years, what he's been able to do. They've rattled off 16 wins in the last 2 years, 7 wins in 2024, 9 wins in 2025. So he's got the program going in the right direction. So when you lose a number of starters like that, you know that there are guys that have seen how to get it done behind those people that have left, that are ready to step in. And that's what I'm really excited about. Some of these guys that have been, you see them on the sideline, they've been being great teammates, they've been working their behinds off in practice. I'm ready for those guys to get on the field and show us what they can do.
Yeah, there's some guys that have been watching, doing a lot of special teams, that kind of stuff, making a name for themselves there. And I think Coach Hoskins is finding here the last couple of years that looking in the portal and engaging potential incoming freshmen, that the fishing's a little bit better when you do win 7, 8, 9 games in a season. So it's exciting to watch. I can't wait to see this group of guys come together. We'll all get a chance to hear this coming Saturday against the Jamestown Jimmies, 2:00 kick. Let's talk about the offense first. Let's talk about QB1, and his name is Zamar Wise. Zamar will wear the number 1. He's a 6'3", 185-pound senior from Newark, New Jersey. Was a former teammate of Max Longman's at the University of Massachusetts. Max is Jason Hoskins' new offensive coordinator. He invited Zamar to Fayette for his final season of eligibility. Zamar came to town, showed some solid QB chops, won the job. Coaches like his arm, love his wheels. What's the buzz on Zamar right now, Mike?
So the buzz is exactly what you said there at the end. They love his wheels. This is a quarterback that can get out of the pocket, take off if he needs to. When he does take off, what I'm hearing from practice is he's pretty elusive. In other words, hard to tackle, like trying to catch a chicken, right? Just one of those guys. But in regards to throwing the ball, because he's going to have some great guys to throw to this year, yeah, he's right there. We've been so used to a guy like Darrell Overstreet, who so accurate, so efficient, and things like that. I think Zamar is working to get to that point. Heard he's got a nice little arm on him, but again, new program. They've been together maybe a month, still working out the kinks. But everything that I've heard is that Zamar is doing a fine job and going to be a great guy, but the appropriate guy to step in and fill that gap at quarterback this year to replace the Darrell Overstreet Jr. So I think what Peacock fans can expect is they're going to see a guy that he's going to drop back, go through his checks, and if nothing's there, he's gone. Advantage Peacocks there to have a quarterback that's as mobile as this guy is. But again, I think in the world of not wanting to run your quarterback so much and getting him hurt, they're maybe hoping that isn't something that they have to do a bunch of.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Darrell, Mike, because it's, of course, eminently fair to compare the two. Zamar has taken over his job. I thought Darrell, when I observed, did a lot of work in the pocket, meaning when the pocket got messy and he took off, he was down the field. It will be interesting to evaluate how Zamar treats it when the pocket starts to collapse in on him. Does he throw it away? Does he take off with it? Or does he kind of roll away from the pressure and look for a receiver while he's running? Darrell didn't do a ton of that. So I'll be interested to see what happens there, how the line behaves around that. Got to make sure those guys don't leak downfield if he is going to leak out of the pocket and then throw it, or if he's just going to take off with it. These are all things that you kind of evaluate here in these first few games of the season before the conference play starts.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to kind of go a step further into what you just said, Warren. It'll be interesting. A lot of coaches, when you've got a mobile quarterback like Zamar and a young offensive line, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, a lot of what they like to do is what they call move the pocket, right? So rather than having Zamar just drop back and letting things kind of cave in around him, maybe they'll run some schemes where they're going to roll Zamar out and give him the option to run if nothing's open or throw on the run. Because again, this guy's very mobile. I'm assuming that he makes a lot of his passes on the run. I don't know that for sure. I haven't seen him, but it'll be interesting on a schematics standpoint to see if Coach Hoskins decides to run some schemes like that where they move the pocket a little bit.
They had 19 practices, counting the one that's probably in progress right now, to install some of this stuff. And I have a feeling that what you're describing is precisely what we might get a taste of this coming Saturday. And we're going to learn together who's going to emerge from a receiver room that is absolutely loaded with new names. Tight end Logan Rozier from LaPorte City, 7 catches last year, tops among all receivers returning to Fayette. Waylon Bullabaugh is a senior from Oskaloosa. He should be out there on the regular. In total, 9 freshmen and 6 transfers in that room. That's a very crowded room. Better get a few extra chairs. Regular action for some, red shirts for others. I guess we'll start sorting it all out on Saturday, Mike.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who emerges, who the new go-to guy is going to be. We've been spoiled the last couple of years because we've had a guy named Monte Morrow, who, oh, by the way, he was training with the Chargers up until a couple of weeks ago. So are we going to replace Monte Morrow? Probably not this year. But who are going to be those guys that step up? I've heard a lot about the Salibi, which makes me happy because I went to school at Upper Iowa with his dad. And I've heard Salibi, I believe he's a sophomore this year, really athletic kid. I heard a lot about him, like I said, hoping he is one that emerges just because it's kind of cool to have a son of a former classmate. But a lot of new names in that room, but that also means a lot of opportunity, right? And I know those kids have been soaking it up. When you have a receiving core that is headed up by Monte Morrow that leaves, and Coda Bridges, another one that is gone, who played a lot of minutes last year, that's just opportunity. And so again, you've had these guys who are looking to step into those roles this year, who watched the Coda Bridges, the Monte Morrows of last year in practice, learn from them, and hopefully now can take what they've learned and all their hard work over the summer and apply that to this year's crew.
Yeah. Get the route trees right, get the timing down with Zamar. A handful of guys I think are going to emerge. There will be some other guys that we'll take for a test drive, maybe keep the red shirts on them. It turns into really a numbers game in that regard, but we'll have a look. Now, meantime, it's a deep running back room with over 2,300 yards between 4 guys. Damon Head Jr. from West Des Moines, Kelvin Swinney from St. Louis, Jaden Gordon from Kenosha. All 3 of those guys carried it last year. Nobody carried it more than 20 times in a game all season. Fresh legs win in November, Mike.
Yeah, this is the group that I'm the most excited about because every single one of those kids in that running back room is a dog, just an absolute dog. And let's not forget who we got back this year, Mr. RJ Wells. Wow. This is a big individual who runs hard. And to have him back after an early preseason injury last year, that room just got that much more full. I think my thought process with Upper Iowa, with a new quarterback, fairly new receivers, you've got your veteran running backs in the backfield. I think that Upper Iowa is really going to rely heavily on a committee of those folks carrying the load for the Peacocks this season.
But yeah, RJ is a grad from Indianapolis, stayed around just for the one more year. He was injured very early last season. And look, I'll admit, I forgot about him, but he stayed in town, stayed in shape, got himself ready to go. And I think he's ready to go. I would love to see him get some carries here this Saturday against Jamestown. And I'm sure the very first time he takes that ball and hits that first hole, that's going to feel wonderful for him.
Yeah, and the other thing about I posted a picture on my social medias earlier this week of our running back room because those kids, man, specimens, just absolute specimens, and they take care of the football, they run hard, and again, it's going to be fresh legs. We've got so many guys that Coach Hoskins can plug in there. And I just see this. I don't know what they're going to do about naming a number one or not. I don't know that you need to. I think it's running back by committee. And I'm completely okay with that because I trust everyone in that room. I think that Upper Iowa is going to rely heavily on the run game, ball control, eat up some clock, and then let their defense do some work.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Let's talk about the offensive line really quick. One returning starter left on the offensive line, Andrew Timmons, 6'2", 280 pounds. He's a sophomore from Mundelein, Illinois. Looks like he is going to take over Clay Seahas's left tackle position. At least 2 or 3 freshmen are going to get a lot of work on Max Longman's line this fall. Coach Jason Hoskins loves the bigs that he brought in this winter, Mike, did he not?
Oh, yeah. You always hesitate a little bit when you say, oh, we're probably going to start some freshmen this year on the offensive line. But I'm not as worried because the kids we brought in are ready to play. They've got the size already. They've been here doing different footwork and going through the drills and things like that. And Coach Hoskins is one of those guys. He's not going to put you on the field unless you're ready to play. I believe that whoever plugs those holes, and I've heard a few names already, whoever kind of fills those gaps for Upper Iowa in the line are going to be, they're going to have the learning curve. They're freshmen playing big time Division II football. So there's going to be some learning curves there, but I have a lot of confidence that I think these kids will be ready. And so the idea of having a couple freshmen even potentially anchor both sides of the offensive line, it doesn't worry me too much.
Me either, Mike, on that one. 2 or 3 freshmen on the line. It is different when you move up a level like this, pushing a guy out of the way on a Friday night in Charles City and then pushing the guy out of the way on a Saturday in Fayette are 2 different things. But a deep group, they're going to pick the best 5. They're going to have 2 or 3 more that they can trust that can get out there on the field. And then I think we'll be able to get all the way through the season with a good, healthy line. And those guys love to run blocking. They much prefer to pass blocking. I have a feeling there will be quite a bit of run blocking going on this fall. And these guys are going to get ready to tear it up here on Saturday. Thank you. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's talk about the defense here really quick. New faces in all 3 levels of defensive coordinator Rhett Meiser's defense. 8 of last year's 10 top tacklers are gone. But DeMonte Mack, 6'3", 250, senior from Wheaton, Illinois, will anchor the defensive line. Had 8 sacks last year, mostly as a reserve. Mike linebacker Evan Dorn from Denver was in on 92 tackles last year, and he's back for more. Mike Mulheron, 6'2", 240. He's a senior from Cedar Rapids. He's back after missing the entire 2025 season. Peacocks are going to play plenty of nickel, and Bryson Hendricks, 5'10", senior from Johns Creek, Georgia, will be the main man back there. Now, that's a good core, Mike, but Coach Meiser will be pressing some underclassmen into action this fall, I believe.
Yeah, you just named, I believe it was 5 just absolute studs. More than, I don't know how to describe my emotions about DeMonte Mack being back. I love that guy. Boy, he's got an engine on him. He also is a large individual that moves people. So that's really fun to watch. I think he's going to have a heck of a season this year, hoping for a healthy season as well. But he's going to have some help there from Ben Werner on the defensive line. Feel really good about up front. Linebacker, we talked about Evan Dorn a little bit. And linebacker was a position last year where we had some injuries. And so it was this revolving door for a little bit. But linebacker is going to be one of those places where I kind of have a question mark on who are going to be the guys and who are going to be the ones that step in, especially if we're playing more nickel, because they're going to have to be really athletic guys. DBs, we've heard from Coach Hoskins, our DBs are in a really good place. That's another room, just like our running backs, that is full of guys that are hungry. They want to play. They want to go out and hit. They want to pick passes off. They want to do whatever it takes to keep the opponents from getting into the end zone. And everything that I've heard around campus echoes what Coach Hoskins is saying in regards to our DBs. It is a hungry room and very talented room.
8 newcomers in that room, including 5 freshmen, 2 of the 5 from Iowa. Sam Dodge from Clear Lake, Braxton Brown from Ames. I believe that always when you're playing nickel, you're going to have a couple of those that are down on the balls of their feet, read and run. Coach has explained to us in the past that it's maybe easier to get a couple of defensive backs back there that don't mind getting into that level and hitting people, as opposed to going with a straight 4-3 base defense and then trusting a linebacker to follow a real skilled receiver downfield. So I would expect to see quite a bit of nickel. And I think Bryson Hendricks will be the anchor of all that, but I think he's got a really nice supporting cast back there. And I think they'll do a good job defending the pass and then getting in on stopping the run when the situation calls for that.
Yeah, and the real key for our DBs is the defensive line. I think, like I said before, I think our defensive line is going to be really strong. And so if our DBs can keep receivers in front of them, our defensive line is going to get there, right? Not only are they going to be run stoppers, but I believe they're going to put some pressure on some quarterbacks this year, especially you got Werner and Mack chasing you around. If I'm a quarterback, I'm getting rid of the ball as quick as I can because I don't want to get hit by those two guys. Our DBs, again, can assist on the run, on run coverage, come up and hit some running backs in the hole. But at the same time, keep your receivers in front of you. Don't let anybody get behind you. We had a couple of those last year. Receivers got behind us. I think we're in really good shape.
Make the quarterback think before the snap, make him hurry and worry after the snap. Coach Miser's 11 that he puts out there have done a good job of that in the past. I expect more of that here this fall. Let's talk about special teams really quick. Nathan Bainey is a junior from Jefferson, Iowa. He'll handle all the kicking, which is something that we've not had to worry about here in the last couple of seasons, have we, Mike?
Yeah, GLVC Special Teams Player of the Year last year. I'm always rooting for him to kick one in the pond at Harms Eyeshade Stadium. And I only do that because I know he's got the leg. This kid has got an incredible leg. He's incredibly accurate, and he's cool as a cucumber, right? This kid steps out there, and he's just, give me a shot, right? From anywhere, give me a shot. He's not afraid of the big kick. He's just been a reliable source of points for the Peacocks offense here over the last couple of years. And then he does some of our punting as well, which is a big part of, and again, I'm from Iowa, grew up a Hawkeye fan, so punting is winning, right? But when you have to punt, when our offense has to punt, getting off a good punt, whether it's pinning them inside the 20 or even inside the 10, but getting off a good punt, allowing our coverage team to get down there and cover it, and giving our defense a great place to start, bury their offense right away. That's the kind of stuff we see from Nathan Bainey. And again, as I'm going to steal Coach Kirk Ferentz's words of wisdom here, there's 3 facets of the game. It's offense, defense, and special teams. And like you kind of mentioned, Warren, a few years back before Nathan Bainey, we didn't have that special teams that we could rely on. Now we do. And in regards to Nathan Bainey punting, I hope he doesn't have to punt this year. But if we do have to punt, I know he's going to put a good one down there. And I tell you what, if we're inside of the 40-yard line and it's 4th down, run him out there. Let's see what he can do. So good shape there.
But yeah, field position is not a real sexy thing to talk about, not even on this show, but it matters. And if you've got a guy who's got a good leg, who can, and of course, a good directional leg, and put it where he needs it to be, that's often worth 5 or 10 yards of field position, maybe more. My favorite kick by Nathan was after, it would have been late in the game, the William Jewell game, the last time that they were in Fayette. Monte scored a touchdown to bring us within 1, performed an impromptu touchdown dance, little backflip in the end zone. Referees took exception, marched him back 15 yards. And then Nathan just split the uprights on that long kick. There's quite a bit of pressure on that kick because that point forced overtime. If you don't make that kick, you probably lose that game. So that's my all-time favorite kick by Nathan. Good kid and a great leg. Let's talk about coaches really quick. Head coach Jason Hoskins, we mentioned it before, now in his 6th season, 21 up, 35 down, 7-4 in 2024, 9-3 last season. Aforementioned Max Longman, offensive coordinator, offensive line and tight ends coach, now in his 3rd season. A couple of new guys, Cole Peterson, quarterbacks and pass game coordinator, and Clyde Logan, who will be overseeing the very busy and very crowded wide receiver room, new in town. Rhett Miser is the defensive coordinator in his 6th season, and Rob Good is the defensive backs coach, also in his 3rd season. We wish those guys luck this fall, and I know they've been busy. I know they're busy right now, and they're just aching to get out there on Saturday.
Yeah, I want to give this time to give Coach Hoskins some props, even before we start this season. When he took over the head job at Upper Iowa, we had the COVID year. And so he basically had to go 2 years before he played a game or had a season. But he was able to navigate that. And Upper Iowa football was not, when Coach Hoskins took over, Upper Iowa football was not necessarily where we all would have liked it to be. And that includes the people involved in the program. We made the change. Coach Hoskins came in, and he's had this vision this whole time about how he can build something great at Upper Iowa. And like most things, it's a process. And it's been really fun as an outsider to watch this process, right? It starts with getting your coaches in line, all your support in line. And then it's about getting the, not only kids, but the right kids. And then you get those kids on campus and they've got to buy in, right? And so what we've seen over the past 2 years, I'll even go back 3 years, from Coach Hoskins is he's achieved all those things. He's got kids that buy in. He's got the support he needs from faculty and staff, and he's got a great coaching staff. And so the program now is trending towards being one of those programs that can be in this conversation every year when the GLVC preseason poll comes out, that Upper Iowa should be and can be in that conversation for the top 3, which we are this year, and which I hope and plan to see in future years.
He accepts no credit when they win. He absorbs all the blame when they lose. That's why all the guys will just go through a wall for him. That's why we love him so much. Coach Hoskins, he's got a good group. Hey, by the way, breaking news. We just learned that the Massey ratings, producer JD let us know that the Peacocks, according to the Massey ratings, are a 27.5 point favorite on Saturday against the Jamestown Jimmies. How does that sound to you, Mike?
I just like that we're picked to win. Point-wise, I would like to see that. But there, again, as we went through Upper Iowa, Warren, yeah, we've got some key guys returning, but we've also got some new guys filling some key positions. And so as somebody who's not in practice every day, not around these guys, not part of the football program at all, it's not nervous, but I'm a little hesitant to say that we're going to step out there and put 27.5 beating on Jamestown Jimmies. Now, like I said, I do think we can win this game. I think it's a winnable game for Upper Iowa. But again, there's too many, I don't want to call them question marks, but too many things that we haven't seen yet from this Peacock football team that I'm looking forward to seeing in this first game that would make me feel a little bit more comfortable about maybe point spreads and things like that.
Yeah, really hard to handicap a game so early in the season. If your roster's brand new. What I know about the Jamestown Jimmies, I haven't spent a ton of time with those guys. They moved up from the NAIA to Division II after the 2024 season and now are a member of the Northern Sun Intercollegiate Conference, which is where we were. 1-9 in 2025. They had a 33-22 win over Concordia St. Paul last September. Picked to finish 7th in the 7-team Northern Division of the NSIC. I look at something like that, I'm just going, man, these guys are where Upper Iowa was 20 years ago after we moved up from Division III.
Yeah, and they're playing in that NSIC, which was really tough conference in regards to football. As Upper Iowa experienced football, we had a hard time competing up there, just at where the stage of where our football program was at the time versus where all the NSIC teams were at that time. There just was a big gap there. And that's what Jamestown is experiencing right now. You make that jump from NAIA to Division II. That's an incredible jump. And I know that once we left the NSIC, they were looking to add somebody. Good for Jamestown for getting into that, and wish them nothing but the best in the NSIC. But it is going to be a tough haul for them for a few years here.
Well, here we go. We're less than 48 hours away from game number 1. Any final thoughts before we wrap this thing up and tie a bow on it?
Yeah, I'm excited to have Upper Iowa football season starting again. It seems like that high from last year has just resonated throughout the winter, the spring, and now the summer. But like Bob Seeger said, it's time to maybe turn the page. And so we've got a 2026 team here that, without seeing them play, Warren, I really like this group. I like the group that Hoskins and his coaches have put together. I like the upside of this group. I like the guys we have returning, regardless of how much playing time they got last year, just because I know that they've been in Coach Hoskins' system for at least a year now and are doing things the right way. So a lot of really great things to be excited about. And again, as much as we want to hold on to that Albany's Candy Bowl trophy and the leg lamp and all that stuff, it's time to focus on 2026. And we've got a heck of a schedule in front of us. I think we have a lot of opportunities to make some noise in the GLVC this year and maybe potentially finish higher than third. But we'll see. A lot of those questions will be answered in this first game. And I know that Hoskins is looking forward to getting his guys out there and competing. And I know that the fans are going to fill Harms Eichscheid Stadium on Saturday because they're ready for Peacock football.
Yeah, now you're talking. Bunch of guys that chose Fayette, they're over there right now working out, getting ready for the first game with the Jimmies. And I couldn't be more excited as well. Can't wait to get down there. Hey, we're going to sign off for now. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you liked it. Hope to see you in Fayette for the home football opener on Saturday at 2. Tailgate starts shortly after dawn. Let's pack that place. For John Gunderson and the Alpha Peacock Mike Schrock, I'm Warren. See you next time.